Hi everybody, hope you're all doing well. Today we're talking about news that's not really news because websites are desperate to return to a sense of normalcy by hyping up all the headlines around you going, look, things are happening. No, that's not the case. Please stop it. Today we're talking about Elder Scrolls 6, a game that still remains in not active development. Enjoy. I know that I always jump into the camera and make all these hard hand movements. I was like, what if I went to the opposite end of the spectrum? So I hope you enjoyed that. Today's topic really reminds me of how people responded to some recent Cyberpunk 2077 news where you could customize your underparts. With a game that has so much hype, we really don't have as much information around it as I would have liked to have had by this point in time. I'm talking about seeing how exploration works in the game, builds. Let's really see the game going because this game's gonna be gigantic, man, and there's so much hype around it. I think we deserve a strong look at it. We haven't really seen that since 2018. And I think that thirst for info is perfectly encapsulated when you look at how everyone was making headlines about customizing the you-know-what. One, because of the shock factor, but also because we don't have much to talk about. Same could be said for Elder Scrolls 6. There's not much to talk about with this game. We could speculate all day where the game's gonna be set based off like a 30-second teaser, but for me, that's not really my cup of tea, and there's really nothing to talk about Elder Scrolls related until this moment in time. You see, Pete was getting bamboozled on Twitter with some real inquiries about Elder Scrolls 6. That's what's led to this moment here where, as you can see, he's kind of going full tilt because people started asking him about Starfield as well, and he was like, holy, you guys, stop. You know, it reminds me of when I was 18 and I had this Fallout 4 induced erection constantly. I was running around all over the place like, oh my God, dude. Like, okay, all right. Like sometimes it doesn't mean anything, ladies and gentlemen. And I know a lot of people were just kind of poking fun at it, but I think Pete wasn't having it today. He woke up with a case of the Mondays. And I understand. But yes, I learned the hard way not to poke and prod at our Uncle Pete because, yeah, I got top voted on Reddit for getting roasted. And man, let me tell you what, knowing people hate you, it's wonderful. All right, so Elder Scrolls 6, what is happening with this game? Today, we answer that question just like we did with Starfield a little bit over a week ago. Now, I didn't plan on making this video, but seeing as how many people were shocked when Pete Hine said, you're not hearing about this game for years, led to me deciding, you know what? I have to make this video. And if you've been following my channel for a while, some of this information may sound obvious, but a lot of people don't stay in that Bethesda Game Studios loop. So let's start off with number one, acknowledge Starfield. This is absolutely Bethesda Game Studios' next game. I know they are known for Fallout and Elder Scrolls, and part of this is Bethesda's fault for announcing a brand new IP in the middle of Fallout 76's marketing campaign and also tagging along Elder Scrolls 6's announcement because people were like, oh, Starfield, whatever, yeah. And I understand that, but acknowledge this game. It is coming next. This is Bethesda Game Studios' next game. Part of the reason I'm heavily emphasizing this is because I know there are people who play Skyrim and only Skyrim. Like they bought an Xbox or a PC or whatever system just to play Skyrim and nothing else. They play Skyrim, they mod Skyrim, Skyrim is all they know. They are Skyrim gamers, not gamers. And I don't really understand that because there's so many games that can kind of loop into Skyrim. You could play Breath of the Wild, you could play, I don't like the game that much, but Dragon Age Inquisition. Like there are games that kind of feed off of what Skyrim was built off of and help kind of pave the way to. But like I said, there are people who only play Skyrim, which is shown by how many folks were genuinely shocked that the Elder Scrolls 6 is not on the way for many, many years to come. This brings us to a particular timeline. You're going to school again. I'm tired of this. Professor Matty is coming out again. Okay, welcome to my classroom. Let's get this started. So you got 3 games. You got 76, you got Starfield, and then you got, we're gonna draw a sword here. You got Elder Scrolls 6, that's supposed to be a sword, all right? So you got these 3 games. Okay, first one, 76, came out in 2018, and guess what? This featured multiple players online, something that Bethesda Game Studios is not known for at all. So in order to account for this very different game that they were making, they said, let's announce our next true single player game, but hey, wait, what the heck is Starfield? No one knows what this thing is right here. So they said, let's also announce Elder Scrolls 6, a game that
we're gonna put a thumbs up here. Everyone knows Elder Scrolls 6, ding, ding, ding. So that's why they said 76 first, Starfield, and then Elder Scrolls 6, because they know it's a chain reaction. If you announce an online game, people are gonna ask where your single player game is. If you announce a single player game, no one knows what the hell this is. You need to announce something they do know about, so that they actually care and know you haven't strayed the path. So, that's class. Hope you guys learned something here today. Professor Matty out.
God dang. Whew. Thank you, Professor, for stopping by. Really appreciate your help. Okay, so hopefully we understand the timeline a little better as to why Bethesda made this decision. And they've tried to explain it in the past, but it's always been loaded in PR-filled BS that I don't think people ever want to sift through. So I figured that was the best way to just cut through the fat. Let's just bring in Professor Matty. The reality here is Bethesda is well aware of the anticipation for Elder Scrolls 6, and they're also well aware it will benefit them, just like it did with Fallout 4. Let's wind back the clock a bit. And I know this is anecdotal evidence, so just hear me out. Before Fallout 4, when I was just a wee lad talking and speculating all the things in my little head, the anticipation for Fallout 4 really came to a head in about 2013, 2014, which I know doesn't sound too far off, right? Because you're like, okay, well, the game came out in 2015, but for almost 2 years, people were full on into Fallout 4. Where is it? Is it happening? We had events like the Survivor 2299, a teaser loaded website which absolutely screamed like it was an official production from Bethesda, ended up being entirely fake. I am still wearing my tinfoil hat thinking that Bethesda had some hand in that because it went on so long and it got so popular and they took forever to comment on it, and it absolutely benefited them in building interest and anticipation. And I think even if they had their heads so far in the sand they had no idea about the Survivor 2299, Bethesda absolutely knows that it helps their games out when there is a ton of anticipation built up by the fans over years and years and years. The dangerous part about that is that your game can underdeliver no matter how good it is. Now, I don't think Fallout 4 is as good as I thought it was at launch, but I think it's a great game. I think there's a lot of things to like about it, but its flaws are also equally as apparent. And for a lot of people, no matter how great Fallout 4 was in a number of areas, it could never, ever live up to that hype. So Bethesda played a dangerous game by showing their hand early, saying, here's our timeline, something that they've never done before. And as someone who really focused on Bethesda Game Studios for a long while before diversifying, I gotta say it's a welcome change of pace. I like knowing how they're gonna be doing things. Having an idea of what Bethesda Game Studios is doing is such a foreign thing, and I think a lot of people, because they got on the Bethesda Game Studios train with Fallout 4, didn't know just how secretive this company was for many years. Like, it takes a lot to get information out of them. It's why when a Todd Howard interview surfaced on the internet, like, that was a humongous deal, and it still is, I'll be honest. But point being is that I think Bethesda knew what they were doing when they announced Elder Scrolls 6. They knew there would be that build-up, that constant asking for information. They just have to deal with it, because once they start handing out legitimate information, the internet's gonna explode. You see what's happening with Cyberpunk, and I promise you, good or bad, whatever happens with Starfield, people are going to care about the Elder Scrolls 6. Whether it's a cautious optimism, or a, oh my god, it's finally happening, or a, let's see how Bethesda screws this up, a lot of eyes are gonna be on this game because of how popular Skyrim was, and of course, prior entries, which I think are just as great. You also may be wondering, with that timeline, why is Bethesda okay with that? They could just say scrap Starfield, which would be stupid, but I know, hypothetically speaking, scrap Starfield and get right to Elder Scrolls 6. Go right to the moneymaker. Well, number one, they're creatives. They have every right to go ahead and try new series if they'd like to. It would probably help out Elder Scrolls 6 to get some new ideas flowing through that studio instead of bouncing back and forth between Fallout and Elder Scrolls. But on top of that, Elder Scrolls Online exists, ladies and gentlemen, and this is a very, very successful MMO. It's one of the top on the market. It's very fun to play, at least from when I last hopped in, and I'll admit that was about a year and a half ago, so it's been some time, but I imagine it's still doing well. I haven't seen any complaints surface in the comments or on Twitter or anything, and it's still releasing consistent content. It's bringing you to all different parts of Tamriel. In fact, a lot of things that people say they want in Elder Scrolls 6, I see Elder Scrolls Online doing. People go, I want an Elder Scrolls game where I can go to so many places in Tamriel. I'm like, dude, ESO exists, and it's got good quests, it's got fun combat, it's got a ton of content, it's very cheap to buy into now. You don't have to pay a subscription service. Like, there's so much to really like about ESO from my perspective at least. And once again, this comes from someone who hasn't really dove into the game in a while, but I played it for a couple of years on and off. Still, ESO's success, just like with Fallout 76, will hold off the next entry in the franchise. So ESO is preventing Elder Scrolls 6 because once ES6 comes, that's going to chop right into the player base of Elder Scrolls Online. Same can of course be said for Fallout. With 76, however, the next Fallout entry will probably kill off 76 entirely because people are either really enjoying 76 or on the other end of the spectrum, they're just kind of dealing with it because they want to play something new that is Fallout. And I saved this part for the end of the video because most of the things I said in this video have been new, as they always should be, but this is going to be a bit recycled. Elder Scrolls 6 demands a specific type of technology. Bethesda has also made that very clear. So we're going to take this same clip of an interview from Todd Howard with Jeff Keighley at E3. We're going to use it here to show you guys what Bethesda is thinking in their head on what they want to do with this game, which I think is sort of the icing on the cake to this talk we're having.
You know, it's something we love, but it is, you know, I have to be careful what I say. It's a very long way off. I could sit here and explain the game to you, and you would say, that sounds like you don't even have the technology. How long is that going to take? And so it's something that is going to take a lot of time, what we have in mind for that game.
So that's amazing. So you have a vision in your head of what you want Elder Scrolls 6 to be.
We think very long term. We're not a developer that's going to like rush something like this out. Any of our games. So when you think about what is the future of that kind of game, you know, we have a pretty good idea of what it would be, and it's just going to take technology and time that really we don't have necessarily right now.
Okay.
So yes, if you've been consistently watching the channel, you're probably familiar with that clip, but if you're new here, Bethesda has very big ambitions for Elder Scrolls 6. Once again, something that should earn your patience because Bethesda has quickly earned a rep after Fallout 76 to just rush these games out, to not take their time with them. And I'm so happy to see that with Elder Scrolls 6, they're treating the series with, it seems, some form of respect, saying we're waiting, we're being patient, we have a great idea, and we're sticking to that vision. That to me is way more exciting than Bethesda Game Studios turning into an Elder Scrolls machine where I click a button and boom, here comes a new Elder Scrolls game, just a new area. I loved Oblivion because it brought me into the open world RPG genre, and I love Skyrim because it really perfectly for me tapped into my love for exploration in the games, and each entry in the series carried something forward while introducing new ideas. I want to see Elder Scrolls 6 at Bethesda Game Studios' most ambitious. I want them to hit it with amazing tech. I want them to fill up the world with tons of places to explore. I want to see a deep RPG. Like, we all have these incredible desires for Elder Scrolls 6, and I think Bethesda's aware of that too. So that's where Elder Scrolls 6 is. That's what's happening with this situation. I know this really wasn't like a newsworthy headline, but I saw so many people talking about it that I was like, okay, all right, we gotta hop into this one today. So hope you guys understand. I did have a different video planned for today, but I felt that this took priority. So let me know what you're thinking of Elder Scrolls 6 in the comments down below. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. Big thank you to all of the patrons. My goodness, we have had 20 plus new ones in this last month. You guys are making a huge difference. Full transparency here, the CPM on YouTube stinks big time right now. So you guys are making a huge difference. Really appreciate your support there. And I'll talk with all of you soon. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.